We are cooking with Crisco. Good morning, everybody, and we are live. I am excited. This is a good day. This is a really good day. We just had an election in Tennessee. Didn't quite go the way we wanted, but good God, the numbers look good. So let's go ahead and get into it. Let's dig into it and talk about it. All right, let's be real about it. Did last night go exactly as we wanted? No, it did not. We were really hoping that Afton Bain would flip Tennessee's second, 7th district, and it did not happen. But good Lord, she moved the needle. And I've got to tell you this. I've said this a couple times already. I'm going to say it again. Afton Bain ran an amazing campaign. She did so much right. And I will gladly support her in anything that she wants to do in the future. Anything she runs for again, she will automatically get my support. She just ran an amazing campaign, and I am super, super, super proud of her. We did come up a little bit short, but good God, those numbers look good. I am telling you, I was looking at some of the maps and stuff that people are putting together this morning. A lot of political strategists are taking the movement that we saw in the results last night, and they're applying them nationally, and you couldn't slap the smile off my face. You really couldn't, because even those maps are falling short. Let's pull up some of what we got here. Here we go. This is last night. This is the results from last night. Again, not what we were looking for, but good God, this is good news. Yeah, Van Epps won, but he won 54 to 45. Folks, that is almost a 15-point shift. It's well over a 13-point shift. It's almost a 15-point shift in that district that has been moving left and moving left and moving left and moving left and moving left. And folks, that's why folks are coming up with maps like this. This is just taking the shift that we saw in last night's numbers and applying it to districts across the country. If those elections were held today, what would the likely results be? And you end up with this. A midterm result that would be 259 Democrats and 176 Republicans. Yeah, that is good news. That is good news. That is really, 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 really good. Here's the problem, though, folks. These maps that they're coming up with, and they're not all just congressional districts. They're trying to mishmash it with both the presidential and the folks. Let me tell you something. They're coming up short with their estimates. They're coming up short in their estimates because every map I see, like they're using the new gerrymandered map here in Texas, and they're trying to apply numbers mishmashy to what the Republicans were looking at when they redistricted. The problem is they're not even close to accurate. We Democrats saw that map that came up here in Texas, and we saw 5 districts that we could immediately pick up that the Republicans were accounting as Republican districts. They carved them up, but they didn't account for this shift. So yeah, they're even short on the numbers that they're talking about in the estimates. This is looking really freaking good. And I've got to tell you, I don't see that momentum slowing down at all. I don't. I actually see that shift continuing, increasing. You could be talking 275 to 285 as far as, you know, Democrats' control of the House. I mean, it's huge. I mean, this is huge, and I know we're conflating presidential and congressional and but it's a lot of data that I just chewed up that's swimming around in my head, and I'm telling you, they're talking minimum 40 seat pickup, a minimum of a 40 seat pickup for Democrats if these just these numbers applied. So yeah, I am telling you, we got some things out of last night, and one of the major things that we got is something you've heard me talk about this before. I tell every Democrat that will listen, do not run as a Republican light. Do not run as a Republican light. Run as a full-throated Democrat. Stick your chest out, be proud, stand by what it means to be a Democrat. And that's exactly what Afton Bain did, and she moved that needle 15 points. 15 points. We're talking about the reddest counties in that district shifted 8 to 10 points to Democrats on a full progressive message. On a full progressive message. I am not even mild. Let me give you an example here. Let me pull it up. I should have had this up. I wasn't going to dive this deep into the numbers, but this is I mean, this is really something. This is really something. All right, let's pull this up real time. No screenshots. We'll do straight up off the website. Okay, you've got, and this is going to be a little bit difficult to see. I do apologize. Try to squint and see in, but you've got like Wayne County down here is super, 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 super red. It moved 7 points to Democrats. It was pretty much 90-10 for Trump. It moved over 7 points to Democrats. You're talking about Williamson County here. It moved 10 points to Democrats. Montgomery County moved 10 points to Democrats. I mean, these are red areas, folks. These are red areas. These are the areas they count on for their votes. Robertson County, again, it was 80-20. It moved 8 points. I mean, this is looking at not, these aren't purple areas where we're saying, oh, what's the vote doing? No, these are rural red areas, and we're seeing massive shifts. Folks, in a statewide election, like you got Marsha Blackburn is saying, like, I'm not running again. This is huge. This is huge for something like that. A Republican candidate running in a statewide or a presidential candidate in 2028 is relying on those counties to be those intensely red areas where they can scavenge votes out of, and they're all shifting left. I cannot tell you how good the news out of last night was. I would have loved a victory. I would have loved to seen Afton Bain in there. I was so proud of the campaign she ran, but I am telling you, these numbers, it just doesn't get to be much better news, and it is going to make a huge difference in what you see. The Republican Party is already a mess. It is already a mess. It's already fracturing, and they're already fighting amongst themselves. Mike Johnson is miserable. He's complaining about the fact that he has to, he came out and gave a quote, says that he's doing triage every day. He's not triage on himself. I mean, he's doing first aid on himself. He's being attacked from all sides because, for the lack of a better way to put it, he kind of gets it. what's happening in the political world, and he has these disparate groups that are just sticking it in him and breaking him off. And I don't know that he lasts to the midterms, to be quite honest with you. It's getting that bad in the Republican Party. ET says, from the numbers that I've seen, third-party spoilers were not enough to have really mattered. They were not. But if we had gotten more to the polls, get involved. That is a great message, ET, because that is one of the things that I took away from last night that nobody's really talked about. Yeah, it shifted left. But good God, we still had a reservoir. Remember, this was a special election. Democrats don't show up in off-year elections, off-year elections, special elections. We still have a massive reservoir of voters that we could still pull from if we can motivate them. If we can just get people to realize the importance of these, and it's a Republican strategy. It is. They plan these elections at weird times because they know we don't show up. We just don't. I don't get it. I don't know why. But it is just a political fact of life. But I think that's changing. I think the craziness, the insanity, the war crimes, the grossness of Trump and everything, I think people are starting to realize, hey, that dog catcher election, that's kind of important, because that dog catcher gets to put his 2 cents in on some of the local policies around. It's starting to sink in. It is. Jordan B. Miller, the economy will only get worse between now and the midterms. Oh, brother, you have said a mouthful there. You have said a mouthful there. Skeet Sayre, 2018, Arkansas and Nebraska have lost tens of thousands of workers just last week. Expect surprises. That's where I'm going with this. These gerrymandered maps, they're bringing in and drawing these gerrymandered maps. But really, they're not diluting Democratic votes. They're diluting Republican votes in areas where we can now pick up some of these counties, especially watch Texas down in the valley. If you go off the coast, you've got the curve on the coast of Texas, and then you've got the point where it comes down at the bottom. This area right here is what we call the valley. It's where a lot of our produce comes from, folks. That is our produce growing area. Watch down in the valley. There's a couple red districts up there that they have redrawn that are now, these are blue districts, especially given last night's numbers. And the Republicans drew them and handed them to us, thinking that they were diluting Democratic votes. Amy, glad to see you. Proud Texas liberal. Does that mean we could pick up a statewide in Texas like senator or governor? Yes, that's what I'm telling you. That's what these numbers mean. And they only get better. We are in play, folks. We are in play. As much as I hate Donald Trump, I told you this after the election. It was a terrible thing to say then. It's a terrible thing to say now. Trump is going to do terrible things. He's going to be bad for the country. But as a political person, this is like Christmas. This is like Christmas. I can talk to people all day long and explain the virtues of what we're doing, but nobody votes to say thank you. They vote to say fuck you. And Donald Trump is giving them all the reasons in the world. I can tell them, hey, they're going to take your abortion rights away. Yeah, they're going to let some religious freak decide whether or not you can get an abortion all day long. And they're like, no, that ain't going to happen. That ain't going to happen. Because you know what? I'm more worried about they're eating the dogs and they're eating the cats, But then, boom, abortion goes away. Oh, wow, that was real. Now, they're talking about women shouldn't vote. Yeah, that's what they're talking about. They talked about that abortion bullshit forever amongst themselves, and they refuse to say it out loud. Every time you put a mic in their face, oh no, we believe in settled law, and we're not going to take abortion away. We just think the state should have the right to determine, and yada, yada, yada. But you remember the whole thing. Now it's women's right to vote. That is the conversation that mediocre white dudes are having right now here in the state of Texas. I put a post on social media because it just blew my mind. 2 days in a row with 2 different MAGA white dudes They came out of their mouth and told me directly, women should not vote. Yeah, that's what they're doing. And I'm telling you, we have to run on that. We have to run on that. Mr. Will, hey Paul, here you are. I appreciate you being here, brother. Seeing the new supporters is everything, because we've got folks that are here every week supporting the show. But man, everybody has their limits. Seeing new supporters come in means that, hey, we can give some of those folks a break. Rock and Ron, aka Ron Slater, thanks for being here, brother. I appreciate you. I appreciate you. Yeah, kick this asshole out of here. You have no place here. We have no place for you here. Go talk to stupid people that want to hear your stupid shit. There you go. I got him. I'm sorry. We're not going to waste our time with people like that. They have no place here. They have no place in our community. Yes, do. Rich Lawton. Amen, my brother. Amen. Call them out. Make them say it. Make them say it to your face. I got 2 in 2 days. Make them say it to your face. Because if they're saying it out loud, people can't deny it. They can't hide from it. None of that at all. And it will just increase these fractures in the Republican Party. Things like this are going on. You've got John Thune that just openly, this is not something that you heard on the national news. This is not something that you heard outside Republican circles. This was written by a right-wing section of the Hill for the right wing. This was never meant for your ears or eyes. This was inside baseball where they were talking to themselves. You were never supposed to hear about this fight, but this fight just happened. John Thune just raised the middle finger to Little Johnson. I'm not kidding. See, Little Johnson, I'm telling you, he has figured it out. He has figured it out. He understands what is unpopular about MAGA, and he's trying to tamp that down. Like they never used to talk about abortion. Oh no, that's going to be state rights. That's going to Little Johnson is really trying hard to go back to that. Glad to see you here, brother. Glad to see you here. Glad to see you here, my friend. Thank you. Mike Johnson is very hard trying to go back to that. He sees the writing on the wall. He sees that if the Russians, that's a Freudian slip, the Republicans are going to survive, they're going to have to go back to not saying the ugly shit out loud. I mean, they know when the whole MAGA movement is based on saying the ugly shit out loud. Okay? We know that is happening. Folks, Mike Little Johnson wants to stop that. He sees what it's costing them. He sees the momentum. But the Republicans, oh no, they're arrogant, man. They are arrogant. No, they the more, it's like you saw Pete Hegseth in the cabinet meeting, and he had SS. Is it where it was said secretary? They added an extra SS. That was intentional. Those don't, folks, nobody printed that card, because that's what they are. So they're printed off printers and they're cards. And nobody took that card, folded it in half, carried it out, set it up on the table, and it didn't get caught that it didn't say SS. Let me show you what I'm talking about. I should have had a video of this. Be patient with me. This is going to be a little bit of a slow start. There you go. This is real. This isn't AI. This isn't doctored. This isn't anything. This was really sitting on the table in the last cabinet meeting. This is a wink to the white supremacists. This is the kind of intentional shit they do. This is the kind of shit that Little Johnson is he's trying to scoop the shit up and put it back in the horse. But the rest of these people, you've got these podcasters that are now holding government jobs and television personalities that are now holding government jobs. They know they got those jobs by being out and out brazen assholes. And they're too ignorant and too stupid to know that they're turning people off. All they know is this is the kind of shit that got them their paycheck. Andrew Borth, thank you for being here, brother. One district with my personal interest, Missouri, second, R+4, very gettable, and it has Fred Wellman running. Amen, brother. Veteran leader and committed to the cause of democracy and friend of mine, Fred Wellman. He's actually we talked about this when he kicked off his campaign. We actually did a show with him when he kicked off his campaign. Missouri born, trapped in a red district. It's time. Yeah, that R+4 district is no longer an R district. It's not. You extrapolate that out, that is now a D+9, D+10. That's what last night meant. Damon Dog says Trump is pardoning Henry Cuellar. He's pardoning any crook out there. He is, just every crook out there. It's like when he turned the Taliban terrorists loose on Afghanistan. That's what he's doing to us, but with pardons. Jeremy Breeden, 77. If Republicans had their way, only wealthy white landowners could vote. Amen. That is exactly what they're trying to do. That is exactly what they're trying to do. But man, I am telling you, it's beyond Thune. Thune goes and just pokes Mike Johnson in the eye. Mike Johnson puts forward an amendment to a bill that he's trying to get through that targets some very pro-Russian bad guys, oligarchs in the country of Georgia, not the state of Georgia, the country of Georgia. Thinking, hey, this would be a good thing to run on. You know, we'll tamp down some of that pro-Russia shit. John Thune says, "Oh no, we're not sanctioning those guys. No, we're not doing that." And again, you were never supposed to be privy to this conversation. This was supposed to be inside baseball for the Fox watchers and the people that like to fillet Putin and think Putin is a strong man and a leader. This is who that conversation was meant for, because then Thune looks really good to them. But Mike Johnson, he looks like Little Johnson, weak. And he gets things like this that are popping up. Again, this was Fox. You weren't supposed to see this. Stefanik accuses Johnson of siding with Democrats in explosive House GOP leadership rift. Yeah, I mean, this was yesterday. Yesterday, Fox was running this. That Little Johnson is siding with Democrats. Again, not something you were supposed to be aware of. What that is all about is this. Stefanik, you remember that poison pill in the bill that they got taken out where the FBI has to inform members of Congress if they're under investigation? You know, like Bob Menendez was a crook and the FBI was surveilling him. This bill that Elise Stefanik has successfully got put into the NDAA. Little Johnson had to fold, had to bend the knee. He was trying to keep that out of the bill because he sees just how unpopular this shit is. It is now in the Defense Authorization Act, our military spending bill that's going to go through. Elise Stefanik got this put into the bill that if the FBI investigates a member of Congress, they've got to tell that member of Congress that they're investigating them. Does anybody see a problem here? I know Mike Johnson sees a problem with it. I mean, he can see just how bad this looks for Republicans to be the ones championing this. But yeah, Elise Stefanik just got put into our defense authorization bill. You know, the bill that keeps our soldiers paid, and the reason that they don't fall under like government shutdowns and stuff like that is the defense authorization bills. Yeah, this is going to go through. She just got put into that bill that if the FBI engages in a criminal investigation where they have to surveil a member of Congress, the FBI has to tell them, we're listening to you. I don't know what to add to that. And Little Johnson was desperately saying, no, we're not doing that. We're not doing that. And Elise Stefanik is threatening his job. And Little Johnson folded. That's where we're at with the Republicans, man. That's why they're resigning. That's why they're not running again. And you watch, after this last election, I told you, this last election was going to be the bellwether. If Afton Bain, if you hadn't done such an amazing job, if Afton Bain hadn't run such an amazing race, if y'all hadn't, just pushed for the turnout, if you hadn't fired people up on your social media, if you hadn't talked to your friends and family, and you hadn't gotten the results that you got, this would be a very different conversation today with the Republicans. They would be circling the wagons. They would be doubling down on ultra MAGA. That is not what's happening today. Mike Johnson has been desperately trying to tamp this shit down because he can read polls. But folks like Elise Stefanik, who for some reason thinks this is going to make her governor of New York. She's not running again, by the way. She doesn't have to deal with the fallout from this. And by the way, Elise Stefanik's district, that is another one that they're not counting as a pickup. That is definitely in play now. Definitely in play. Because not only is she the incumbent leaving, which always makes it more competitive, she's leaving after squeezing out turds like this amendment to the NDAA, where they have to be notified if they're caught, if their corruption's being looked at. Yeah, and she thinks this is going to make her governor of New York. This is hilarious, folks. This is a good day. This is a really good day. Catherine asked, did they change the House rules on the numbers needed to remove us? No, they didn't. They didn't. But it's not many. I think it was at 14. I can't remember now. I think it's 14. But no, they didn't change that. E.T. Speaker is supposed to be one of the more powerful people in the government, but Preacher Johnson has made it the second biggest doormat to the Mad King. Yeah, absolutely. Incredibly weak. Incredibly weak. Incredibly weak. But there's more to it. There really is more to it. Jordan B. Miller, midterms needs to be about the economy, healthcare, and Republican corruption, and taking away women's right to vote. Moving the Taliban into the United States. That's exactly the Christian nationalist Taliban. Amen. I am with you. Let's make it about that, because folks, it's just going to get worse for Republicans. It is. This was a supercut. Midas put this together of Trump in his last cabinet meeting. I mean, the guy cannot physically stay conscious at his job. I just want to stress that again. This was not some staff meeting that the White House photographer was there and that was it. This was a cabinet meeting where they invited the world press in, and they were supposed to talk about, anything to try to save their administration. I mean, this was a big freaking deal. They are literally not up against the ropes. They're sliding down from the ropes. It's collapsing so badly. And Trump, in front of not just national cameras, global media, could not physically stay conscious. He fell asleep 4 times. And I don't mean sat and closed his eyes and thought. I mean, fell asleep 4 times. And I mean, it is just, and when he wasn't asleep, this was the kind of thing that the world was treated to. Now I realize, and again, folks, we need to have an understanding here. This is a conversation between you and me. This is a conversation with us. Like we talked about the last election, we kind of made a mistake. We were running on things that were conversations between us that we could understand, but we forgot that the elections are about including the stupids. And, this is for conversations for us, because the stupids, your MAGA people, they can't get this. They don't get it. They can't wrap their head around it. E.T., seeing you on Tennessee Brando last night, please retell your MRI Oh my God, we're talking about Trump and his MRI. Maybe at the end of the show, bring it up at the round table, and at the end of the show, and I'll tell it again. I will. Skeet's there. Let's do some history. In 1772, British Parliament voted to end slavery in the colonies. In 1776, America rebelled and blamed it on tea. Today, weed is free, so is healthcare in Canada. We never rebelled. But I'm just telling you, the times, they are changing. That's the whole point. We have kind of a central theme in every show. That is the theme of this show. The times, they are changing. Think about this 1 year ago after Trump was elected, the dread that you felt, the fear that you felt. Compare that to now and where you're at. The times, they are changing. Folks, and it's just going to keep moving our direction. Turkey Neck thought this was a good idea. Turkey Neck thought this was a good idea to do in front of cameras. This is Christy Nome, a.k.a. Turkey Neck, a.k.a. Puppy Killer, talking to Donald Trump.
Fantastic, sir. You made it through hurricane season without a hurricane.
Yeah.
And so FEMA, you kept the hurricanes away. So we appreciate that. And FEMA is deploying resources and dollars 150% faster than ever before. So if somebody does have something bad that happens to them, you are immediately there helping them and telling them they have the resources to get back up on their feet. So
wow. Did you know Trump kept the hurricanes away? Yeah, he was out there at Mar-a-Lago on the coast of Florida going, sha, 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 keeping the hurricanes away, man. Oh my God. And the part about FEMA, that's laughable also. We saw what happened in Kerrville. Those people still, I'm telling you, the folks up in Kerrville, they may not be, MAGA up in Kerrville may not be real bright, but they can count, and they know the checks ain't shown up. Yeah, from the flooding in Kerrville, they're still a mess. That is still not fixed. And you've got Turkey Neck here slapping him in the face saying, well, FEMA is 150% faster to show up and not do shit. Just slapping their people in the face, telling people Donald Trump kept the hurricanes away. Sha, 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 sha. I mean, come on, man. Come on. And again, this is for me and you, okay? This is for me and you. Your drunk ass uncle, your MAGA relatives, they're okay. They don't get it. They, like George Carlin said, there's some dumb motherfuckers out there. That's them. There are actually people that are like good with this. I mean, they're like, yeah, Trump kept, look at the hurricanes here. Another one right now, I got to laugh, is that like the Nigerian trolls, the foreign trolls are posting that gas just got cheaper. Yeah, we just switched to the winter blend. Happens annually, every year this time of year. Go from the summer blend to the winter blend. It gets cheaper. Duh. This is what I voted for. You voted for the same thing that happens every damn year. Meanwhile, your energy prices in your home and your grocery prices and everything are off the hook, and the economy's tanking. What's going on with the economy is like, we're going to talk about that in a minute. Stephen Leach, 1410. So good to see you with Brando yesterday. I enjoyed that. I love Brando. He is a really good guy. Let me tell you something about Brandon. Let me tell you. That is not an act. As nice as that guy is, that's really him. That's the way he is. I mean, he just carries himself that way all the damn time. I love spending. He's one of my favorite people to spend time. She is incapable of telling the truth. Amen. Amen. Christy Nome, Turkey Neck is, and I call her Turkey Neck, man, because if you look at her neck, she can't put enough foundation on that neck. It literally cracks. Oh my God. Turner. Glad to see you, my friend. Glad to see the new people, man. I'm telling you, you new people are everything to the future of this show. And while we're saying that, thumbs up, hit the subscribe button. Let's keep it growing. Come on, let's move to 500,000 people. Let's do it. I've said it once and I will say it again. Next November, everyone needs to show up and vote. Use a vacation day, use PTO, use sick time, do whatever you need to do to get it done, to get to the polls. Most states have time off guaranteed. They have to give you 3 hours to go vote. A lot of states already have that in place, folks. You're entitled to it. Go vote. Go vote. Mr. Knutson in the house. Thank you for being here all the time, sir. I love to see members of our European audience. Trump sharpened the Sharpie sharp to keep those Democrat-made hurricanes away from. Oh my God. That is hilarious. That is hilarious. But no, it didn't stop there. There's this is serious because he's not kidding about this. Trump doesn't care what the damage is going to be when he leaves. He doesn't. This whole tariffs thing and trying to shift the tax burden onto you, he really doesn't care what that does long term. He doesn't. And Trump is dead serious about this, and we need to have a little talk about it.
And I believe that at some point in the not too distant future, you won't even have income tax to pay because the money we're taking in is so great, it's so enormous that you're not going to have income tax to pay. Whether you get rid of it or just keep it around for fun or have it really low, much lower than it is now, but you won't be paying income tax. We've slashed $1 trillion up, and I believe.
Whew, folks. That whole you're not going to pay taxes on tips, and then the legislation came out. It was nothing like you're not going to pay taxes on tips, but they still claimed that they passed it. This whole income taxes are going to go away thing, he's dead serious about. This is not the just make a promise out there. This is a big gimme to the broligarchs. Chris, R797, coming in late, chipping in for the cussing jar before starting from the beginning. I appreciate you being here, brother. I really do. I appreciate you being here. Look, the privatization of Social Security with Trump accounts, they're dead serious about. They are doing that. They are working to do that. The elimination, the elimination of trying, the attempt to eliminate income taxes is a big gimme to the broligarchs, and they're dead serious about that. Let me tell you something, okay? Here in the state of Texas, we are one of the highest taxed states in the union. We are. They just hide them. And the hillbillies around here are really dumb enough not to know because they don't travel. They don't get around. Let me tell you something. Texas is a poor state. We have pockets of very rich people, but you get rid of those people off the books, and we start looking more like Mississippi than California. I am telling you, we are a poor state. And the way they hide the taxes is to direct them directly at the poor and the middle class. That's what Trump is trying to do on a national level, folks. That's what the tariffs are about. Instead of having, an income tax where you can see, okay, I paid this much to the federal government. I know you can go to your paycheck and say, I know I paid this much in taxes, so that you give a shit about where that tax money goes, and you're involved. They just hide it. With tariffs, you never see that tax you're paying. There's no place for you to go to look at it and say, oh, I paid for that. That's the same thing when they say we're going to eliminate income taxes. That's what that's all about. They do that here in the state of Texas. We have a sales tax here in the state of Texas, not an income tax. Dave Barone, the devil on his vision of taxation are in the details. Amen, brother. Let me tell you something about the way it works here in Texas. Just about everything. There's a very few things that are exempt, very few basic necessities that are exempt. But if you go try to buy a Coke, or you go to try to buy a shirt, or you go try to buy, just about every damn thing you buy, you pay taxes on. You will pay taxes at that purchase every time. And growing up in Texas, people are just used to it. They don't even look at it anymore. And the Republicans are like, oh, right. And they sell this myth that we've got low taxes here. Well, it's low if you're Elon Musk. You just get you a little shack in Boca Chica, call that your residence. Then you can live in San Francisco or Connecticut or New York or wherever you want to live, and you don't pay taxes there. You don't pay income taxes to live in those nice places. And that is a real problem, folks. I travel, I get around. It's what I do. Folks, and there's some people that hate on me for that. I don't give a shit. This is what I worked my whole life for. This is what my wife worked her whole life for. We travel, so we get to see different places. And I guarantee you, the people here have no idea how poor we are and look until you get somebody from Boston that comes here. They're like, what the fuck? And the people here have no clue. The taxes are the same way. The broligarchs have made up their mind that they're going to move to stealth taxes. And Trump is telling you, but he's trying to sell it as, oh, you're not going to pay taxes anymore. Bullshit. They're going to do to you exactly what they do to us here in Texas. We're one of the highest tax states. But to get to that figure, you have to start adding up all the shit that we pay for as a premium. Some of it, people here think, oh, well, that's just private. You can't count that as a tax. I'll give you an example. Insulin is capped at $11 in California. The state of California sells insulin for $11. Their taxes pay for that to make that happen. Here in the state of Texas, insulin is hundreds to thousands of dollars a month. Yeah. That's a tax, man. That is a tax. That is your cost of living to live here that the government should take care of. That doesn't, you pay it. And because you're paying it, instead of the government standing up against corporations to represent you, you're getting screwed. And it is all over. Yeah, Florida, very much the same way. They want to pretend, oh, it's cheap to live here in Florida. It is not. It is not. The fees that they nail you with and the expenses that you have to pay here to live here in the state of Texas are so high. You get people, it's very common. You will get people that will move here from Washington, the state, the great Northwest, California, or New York. They'll listen to that. Oh, no income tax. Fantastic. My company let me move to Dallas. And then they get here and they're like, fuck, I can't afford car insurance. Fuck, I can't afford home insurance. Sure, my house is cheap because nobody wants to live here compared to where I came from. But I'm losing more than that on all my other expenses. And that's what the locals here don't get. Boil that frog slowly. That whole, you've heard the story. Put a frog in a pot. If you crank the temperature up high, they'll jump out of the pot. That's what your taxes are. You get to see. It may be a bit of a culture shock, but it engages you. It puts you in the program. But if you take a frog, put it in the pot, and you just slowly turn that heat up and slowly turn that heat up and slowly turn that heat up and slowly turn that heat up, then you have a lottery that you say is going to pay for education that's never paid for education. They took the money that was supposed to go to education and they gave the broligarchs even more tax cuts. So our lottery will not cover the cost of education. They're making education cuts. See, they turn that heat up a little bit slower, a little bit slower, a little bit slower. Next thing you know, it's fucking boiling here. We're one of the highest tax states with one of the lowest standards of living. That's what they're trying to do on a national scale. That's what Donald Trump's plan is for no income tax. But you can't have that conversation with your dumbass MAGA relatives. Their eyes will glaze over. They're not you. They're not you. They don't have the cognitive ability to have this conversation, to understand what we're talking about and say, yeah, I can verify that. That is true. No, there are grown-ass men that will sit here and you will tell them we are one of the highest tax states with one of the lowest standards of living. And they will tell you, that ain't possible. We ain't got no income tax here. So yeah, that's an us conversation, not a them conversation. You cannot politically use that with them. You have to understand that's a motivate our voters conversation. Trump pardoned. Yeah, I know he did. I swear to God, are you folks trolls or something trying to say Dems? Henry Cuellar hasn't been a Democrat in forever. Henry Cuellar wanted to pardon, so he sucked up to Republicans. He hasn't been a Democrat in forever. Richard Lawton, Repugs call them user fees in Alaska, but they're really, yeah. 100%. Alaska the same way. Alaska, red states all over the country. Kit BO8. Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. It was a good day. It was a good day. It was a good day. But yeah, Trump can't stay awake, and they're doing shit like this. Sean Duffy is closing trucking schools as part of their anti-immigrant messaging. Y'all remember that? And again, you cannot run the government off a TikTok video. You can't. There was a driver. He was an immigrant driving as a driving as a truck driver. He made a U-turn. The family didn't pay fucking attention to what they were doing. They slammed into the side of his truck and died. I am one that catches hell on that one because as somebody that's driven a big truck before that knows trucks have to make turns that your average vehicle doesn't because of the size of the vehicle and whatnot. It is the driver's around you's responsibility to understand and be aware. I mean, that's the first thing they teach you in defensive driving is always be prepared. That didn't happen in that situation. The family just right through the side of the truck because the driver never paid attention. That truck didn't turn like an F1 race car. Just pisses me off, and I rage about it because Mrs. Texas Paul is on the opposite side of this argument. She hates the big trucks, and I'm like, you've got to understand that truck was not a damn F1 race car. It didn't go and whip in front of these people. No, it went bam. But hey, everybody that hates trucks, that doesn't know shit about driving a truck, lost their frickin' minds. And Sean Duffy and the Republicans jumped all over it because the guy was an immigrant. So they've been attacking immigrants. And because they've been attacking immigrants, they have been going after schools claiming, and I shit you not, he said this out loud, he's closing the trucking schools that issue immigrants licenses. He said that out loud. Now, I don't expect the average person to hear that and go, what? I don't. Your average person doesn't really pay much attention to it. But I've got to ask you a question. Who issued your driver's license? And folks, if you're watching this on replay, please make sure that the live chat is open. It takes about 20, 30 minutes to process on YouTube after the show, and the live chat will be available. Make sure the live chat is open because the community that we have here is actually part of the show. This is a community. Who issued your driver's license? I seem to see, that you folks do get that is the government that issues your driver's license. Well, Sean Duffy is running around telling every MAGA moron that'll listen that he's closing CDL training schools that are issuing licenses to immigrants. No, they're not. No, they're not. Driving schools don't issue licenses. They train drivers. And you're closing schools that are training drivers. Period. And they're the same schools that you Republicans made really easy to frickin' open because you don't like regulation. So you made these schools self-regulate. Now we've got a bunch of these shitty schools, which I'm totally okay with those schools being closed. All they do is teach to the test. They don't really train people how to be drivers. They just train people, teach to the test. There's a lot of these schools out there. I'm okay. Bring the regulation back. But that's not what they're doing. They're claiming they're closing these schools because schools are issuing licenses to immigrants. No, they're not. No, they're not. Your DMV, your Department of Public Safety, if you're here in the United States, state of Texas, the Department of Public Safety issues your license, not the frickin' school you go to. What's the net result of that going to be? Well, right now, since we're in the middle of an economic collapse and there's actually a massive drop in the amount of freight that is moving, the immediate result isn't going to be much. But Democrats take over in the midterms, start getting some decent policy back in place. In a year or two after that, we've got a humming economy again. Democrats take over the White House in 2028. Now we don't have enough drivers because we've had a systemic problem, and a Republican went in and closed all the schools to train CDL drivers. Well, not all of them, but a lot of them. They're going to close a lot of them. They created a problem by peeling back regulation and making it possible to have fly-by-night schools. Instead of fixing that problem, they're going to just shut down a bunch of schools, which is going to choke off our supply of CDL issued drivers. All under the collar of immigrants that are eating your dogs and eating your cats while they're driving down the road in their big rig. Republicans cannot govern. Republicans cannot govern. Governing involves doing a job. It involves doing a job. It involves doing a job that ain't fun. It ain't sexy. Governing is boring shit. And I really hope we get back to government being boring one day. I hope that we bankrupt all these media organizations that brought us Donald Trump so that they could sell some chaos, because that's exactly what they did. All of our major media outlets, our corporate media, brought us Donald Trump on purpose. They skewed. We have a president that is dying right in front of our eyes. And you can go back and you can look at the number of articles that they wrote about Joe Biden's age and health. And the line is like this long in the bar chart. And they still are not talking about Trump. They still are not talking about Trump. Vincent Day, thank you for being here, brother. They brought us this chaos. Republicans can't govern. Basic things like making sure, okay, we're having an economic dip right now, so, we don't need a lot of drivers now, but, let's plan like 5 years from now, the economy is not going to be completely destroyed, and we're going to need some CDL drivers 5 years from now, so maybe we should have schools in place to train drivers for the future. It's not that hard. It's not that hard, but they just can't do it. They just can't do it. They created a mess instead of dealing with the mess that they created with and dealing with that most evil of words in Republican circles, regulation, and fixing the problem and making the schools better. They're just going to close a bunch of schools and shut down, throw the baby out with the bathwater, and we're going to create a problem and another systemic problem with our economy, because if you don't have enough drivers, you can't move the goods, because if you bought it, a truck brought it. It's that simple. Mr. Knutson, are they getting ready to replace all the truck drivers with AI drivers? No, they're not. Brolegart's wet dream, racist truck drivers cheer it on, and no jobs. Yeah, you got a bunch of old fuckers that are like in their 50s and 60s driving trucks that are bad about the immigrants that ain't going to be here in 10 years. They're going to be dead. They're not going to be here in 10 years. They're going to be dead or retired. And they won't give a shit. They don't think that far ahead. It's all about them right here, right now. And no, AI is not going to replace them. Hold on, Skeets here. I'll pull that back up in a second. No, AI isn't going to replace them. You know why? Because our roads haven't changed. To create a system where robots could actually move freight, you would have to redesign our highway systems so that they're not so chaotic and require a human being in the driver's seat. You would have to make our highway systems compatible with machines instead of humans. And that's a massive investment, and we're not doing that. So no, they can brag about AI that all they want. This is why Tesla's self-driving doesn't work worth a shit. Skeet Sayer, Texas is doing the same thing as the Russians in Ukraine, taking away kids to indoctrinate them. I don't know what you're talking about there, my brother. I don't know. You send me an email, fill me in. If I'm missing the story, I'd love to hear about it. Lonnie Johnson, thank you for being here, brother. Thank you for supporting the show. Harvey Linda 77, thank you for supporting the show, man. All these unique people, man, you're everything. You are everything. E.T., YouTuber, the enemy from within, a real trucker, has been talking about 2,600 truckers laid off and the economy slowing badly. Yeah, it is. You want to know how badly it is slowing? Perfect segue. Well, they won't release economic data anymore because the Trump doesn't want that out. They're not going to release October's reports for either GDP or employment or anything like that. So we have to go to ADP again. This is the private industry that tracks these things. They were predicting adding 40,000 jobs in November, which is sickly. Remember, 220,000 jobs a month minimum to keep up with population growth. Anything below that, you're moving backwards. They were predicting a sickly 40,000 jobs, an anemic 40,000 jobs. That didn't happen. We went negative 32,000 jobs in November. And it's worse than that. Way worse than that. It's not just we lost 32,000 jobs. Let's scroll down here. Changed by establishment size. 1 to 19 employees lost 46,000 jobs on average. Employees 20 to 49 lost 74,000 jobs on average. Small businesses, your local businesses, got killed last month. Small businesses are the driver of America's economy, not the big broligarchs, but the broligarchs did okay. Your mid-sized to large companies, 250 to 499 employees added 20,000, 500 plus employees added 40,000. They're doing fine. They're doing. That's why your stock market keeps going up, folks, because these big broligarchs are doing great, but small businesses are getting killed. Changed by industry. This is why I love the ADP numbers. They break this down the way the government numbers don't. Natural resources and mining up 8,000. That's working on oil wells, and we've got a lot of wells here in Texas that are just leaking horribly, and the state is balking, trying desperately not to have to pay to cap these things off when that's the Railroad Commission's job. We got a guy running for governor just on that, how badly the state is failing. Failing capital. That's a whole nother show. The construction industry down 9,000 jobs. Manufacturing down 18,000 jobs. Those are your good paying jobs. Construction, that's a good paying job. It's hard as hell, but it's a good paying job. Manufacturing, that is a good steady job. Gone. Services, trade, transportation, and utilities, they gained 1,000 jobs. Not the best paying jobs in the world. Are you starting to see a trend here? Information technologies, they lost 20,000 jobs. Those are your IT guys. Those are very well-paying jobs. Financial activities lost 9,000 jobs. Those are your very, very good-paying jobs. Gone. So it's not that we just lost jobs. It's the type of jobs. Professional and business services lost 26,000 jobs. Those are high five, to six-figure jobs. Just 26,000 of them gone. Education and health services. Well, we got some of those can be good paying jobs. A lot of them are low paid teachers. Not the greatest news there, because healthcare is not a driver of your economy. Healthcare is an expenditure. If you're spending money on healthcare, you're pulling out of your economy. Leisure and hospitality, those are horribly low-paying jobs. They added 13,000 jobs. Other services lost 4,000 jobs. Are you seeing what I'm laying down here? Are you getting it? Not only did we lose jobs, but the jobs we lost were really good paying jobs. Yeah, this is not good news, folks. In the last 6 months, 4 of those months, we've had job losses. And everybody's still pretending that we're not in a recession. This is insane. We're seeing defaults on car loans. We're seeing defaults on mortgages. We're seeing credit cards go into delinquency. And everybody's just pretending, hey, it's fine because, the oligarchs are doing pretty good. Mm-mm. Mm. And this is one of those things I'm telling you. Yeah, tourism. Tourism is way down. Tourism is way down. They're not talking about hotels and stuff when they're talking about that kind of service. They're talking about like caring for old folks, things like that. They're not talking about, hotels and shit like that. No. Oh my God. Catch my whiff. Hey, glad to see another new supporter here. Thank you. I really appreciate you. I cannot do it without you. I'm truly grateful. I want to see an upstart liberal-leaning broadcast network to be created and see Scripps grow larger. Midas Touch. Go check out Midas Touch. That is exactly what they're doing. They are right on the cusp of making that leap from being an internet network where they're mostly on YouTube to actually being a network. They are right there, folks. Go tune into Midas Touch. I love those guys. The Mycelis brothers are doing amazing work. They are doing amazing work. They really are. But folks, you've got Trump just sleeping through all of this horrible financial data, but that's not the end of it, folks. It's not. It's not. I hate to be the bearer of bad news. I had a lot of hope for Ukraine. We did for a long time. But I am telling you, the writing is on the wall. That war is about to change and change dramatically. We talked about the folks in Europe and the folks here in the United States that were perfectly content to allow this war to drag on because it kept Ukraine from competing with Europe. It was demolishing Russia and diminishing Russia. So, hey, the Neville Chamberlains around the world said, let it go, let it rip. We'll give Ukraine help, but not enough help to win. We'll just keep dragging this out. Well, the end is here, folks. The end is here. And everybody knows it. Volodymyr Zelensky is in a very, very bad place right now. This is an opinion piece. It's an opinion piece by a very well-respected Ukrainian writer. Ukraine is running out of men, money, and time. And that is just a fact. It is. It is. This war has debilitated Ukraine's economy. War is expensive. It is. We Americans kind of have a distorted view of what war does for your economy because the wars that we're engaged in always tend to be on someone else's doorstep. So they're great for our economy. I mean, we're building weapons and shit like that. So there are a lot of Americans that sit around and think, oh, war's good for the economy. Not if it's in your front yard. It's not. It's just not. And Ukraine's economy has been suffering. I mean, just stick with me here. Pavlon 01. I'm in the insurance industry. All hiring has stopped. Structuring has began. Yep. Every industry. Boomer Bean. Thank you for being here, supporting the show. Cannot do it without you. Hit the thumbs up button, folks. But yeah, Ukraine has been just piling debt on and piling debt on. And, when you look at these numbers, to Americanize, they're not that scary because Americans look at everybody else and they kind of assume we're the same. We're not. Ukraine is a country has about 1/10 the population of the United States. About 1/10 the population of the United States. It's got a fraction of the GDP. So when you start talking about debt numbers and the amount of debt that they're carrying, we look at those numbers and we're like, well, they just gave ICE that much money in a year. Yeah, it's not the same. It's not the same. The amount of debt that Ukraine has been just piling on just to stay functioning, keep the lights on and the buses running, on top of having to buy weapons for a war, which is not cheap, has just been choking Ukraine in debt. And they're doing everything they can to try and restructure it and keep things moving. But look, time has just run out. It's just run out. And everybody knows it, including Putin. I mean, they have fought valiantly, but they're running out of resources and they're just barreling into massive amounts of debt. So they got this idea. They got an idea. And they've been imploring the European Union. The European Union thought it was a great idea to do this because the European Union doesn't want to take on debt for this war. They want Ukraine to fight it without it affecting the rest of the European Union. So they said, hey, you know what? We'll take Russia's assets that we've frozen because they invaded Ukraine, and we'll take that money and we'll loan it to the Ukraine. I keep saying the Ukraine. I don't know what the hell's wrong with me this morning. We'll loan it to Ukraine. And we'll write up the deal so that Ukraine doesn't have to pay it back unless Russia quits the war and pays Ukraine war reparations. And everybody's like, well, that'll never happen. That'll never happen. So basically, we're not really saddling Ukraine with debt. Oh, but you are. You are. And I've got to tell you, a guy that I just really do not agree with, Bart de Wever. He is the Prime Minister of Belgium. And our European audience can chime in here. He is a right-winger. He's the former mayor of Antwerp. We covered this election last, and how Belgium and some of the Scandinavian states are actually creeping to the right because they don't want to deal with things like immigration. They don't want to deal with things, they want to sit and pretend their populations aren't aging. They're just like us. They want to pretend that their populations aren't aging, that they're not running up against a brick wall, that they really have changes that have to make. We don't want to have to let these people in here. We don't want our culture to change. We don't want, new pockets of, different cultures around that we're uncomfortable with. All the shit that the bigots say and the short-sighted people say, yeah, they're saying that in Europe too. They are. And they elect people like Bart here. And he has been, I wouldn't say he's pro-Putin, but he's very, 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 we'll just say pro-Belgium, put it that way. He wants he wants to do nothing that will cost Belgium anything, even if it means, short-term gain for long-term loss. He doesn't care. So he's blocked that idea of giving Ukraine a cash infusion that they desperately need, utilizing Russian assets. Having said everything I say, and this is why these are conversations for you and me. If you're watching this, you can follow conversations that are not like, straight lines. They're not, they're nuanced, they're complicated. Having said everything that I said, and being completely clear, this is why the conversations are for us and not the stupids. The stupids can't follow things like this. They can't think things like this through. This is why we have to be politically successful, because you can think things like this through so we can come up with policies that work even when everything's not enjoyable. Let me tell you what I'm talking about here. Schietje, the king of Belgium, was an open racist. Syria is what led to the right-wing rise in Europe. So much history there. Let me explain why Bart is right. He's right. He's right. Using Russia's money would be just. It would be. It would be justice. It would be a just thing to do. It would be a good thing to do to help Ukraine. But the law would be against it. And it would expose Belgium in the future to unplanned debts. And Bart's right about that. He is. It's complicated. Let me explain. Let me give you an example so you can understand. Y'all remember this, right? Y'all remember this happened. Of course you remember this. I'm going to bring it home to American politics so you can get it. Iran prisoner swap for $6 billion in spotlight after Hamas attacks Israel. The Republicans said Joe Biden gave Iran $6 billion of your money, and they gave that money to Hamas, and Hamas attacked Israel with it. And not a word of that was a true statement. But your drunk uncle and your MAGA relatives and the idiots out there actually still, to this day, believe that because of these fucking fuckheads at Reuters and people just like them in the corporate media. Let me break this down for you. What actually happened is this. There was a negotiation for the release of hostages with Iran. And yes, the Biden administration absolutely released $6 billion in frozen Iranian assets in exchange for Iran releasing American hostages. And I know people are saying, well, wait a minute, you just said that didn't happen. Those two things are not the same. The devil's in the details. Notice that headline says U.S. releases $6 billion in frozen Iran funds. The Republicans said it was your money, your tax dollars. Biden gave your tax dollars to Iran. No, it was Iran's money. But it's even farther than that. And yes, they did it for a prisoner swap. They did. They got prisoners for essentially nothing. And let me explain. Stick with me. This was actually happening. Iran had gone to the World Court and was suing because we had frozen their assets illegally. The law did not support what we did. And they were winning. They were winning. In fact, they got rulings in their favor. So the deal was, we'll stop fighting that fight with you, Iran, if you'll release our hostages. And again, now, to be clear, we're not talking about our money. We're talking about Iran's money. And it's Iran's money that we illegally seized. But here's the kicker. We didn't seize it. Wait for it. We didn't seize it. South Korea did, because we asked them to. See, South Korea bought a bunch of Iranian oil and owed them $6 billion for that oil. And we said, we would like to sanction Iran, so don't pay them. Hold on to that money. And they did. So we're talking about $6 billion that not only was not ours. Now, remember the original story that the Republicans were telling everybody, and their stupid ass supporters still believe to this day, that Joe Biden took $6 billion of our money and traded it for hostages. And then Iran took that money and gave that money to Hamas to attack Israel. And again, not one word of that is true. Not one bit of it. It was Iran's money that comes from the sale of oil to South Korea. Those sales of oil occurred when we didn't have sanctions in place, but we said, hey, we got sanctions in place now. Don't pay that debt, South Korea. So South Korea held Iran's money, not us, South Korea, in South Korean banks, right? So that whole $6 billion was us giving Iran money. Well, it wasn't us. It was the Koreans. And the Koreans were doing it because they were losing in court, because the court said, hey, you know what? Iran didn't do shit to Korea, but they did voluntarily buy oil from Iran. They got to pay their bills, man. Give Iran their money. And America, stay the fuck out of it. So rather than fight that losing fight, Joe Biden brilliantly got something for it. He got Iran, said, look, I tell you what, we'll make this easy. We'll stop fighting this shit. We'll smooth things over with South Korea. We'll give them our blessing to pay their bills. You give us our hostages back. With exceptions. And here's where it gets even better. To give you an idea how brilliant Joe Biden and that administration was compared to this administration and the idiocy of Republicans. They got Korea to release their money, but they didn't release it to Iran. They released it to Qatar. And Iran can only use that money for humanitarian purposes. So much for giving the money to Hamas to attack Israel, which was another made-up part of the story. That's the whole story. I mean, that's brilliant, right? I mean, you had money that you were going to have to give up anyway, that you didn't have control of. The Koreans had control of. You'd already lost the court cases, and for nothing more than agreeing to not to continue to fight those court cases, Iran gave up hostages to you, and they agreed that they won't control that money. It would be doled out to them by Qatar and the United States for humanitarian purposes only. Fucking brilliant. Brilliant, right? Brilliant. But of course, the Republicans turned that narrative around to America gave your money to Iran so that they could take that money, give it to Hamas, and Hamas would attack Israel with it, which was all bullshit. They took brilliance and turned it into something your drunk uncle still believes today. Now let's land this airplane where I'm going with what we were just talking about with Belgium and why they're right about Russian money. The bottom line is Iran was right and they were winning in court. And Belgium is right in saying, wait a minute, these sanctions are really freaking complicated. It's the United States asking us to sanction Russia for an attack on a country that's not even part of the European Union, is not us. We agreed to hold their money. We're going to lose in court later. The Russians are going to sue us for their money, and we're going to lose later. He's right. He's right. And the bottom line is Europe should have been supporting Ukraine all along at a level that would have allowed them to win. The United States should have been supporting Ukraine all along at a level that would have allowed them to win, not play stupid games like this that will come back to bite our European allies in the ass. And Belgium is the only country standing up, and they're comparing, they're comparing old Bart to Viktor Orban, and it's not true. He's right, and the EU should listen. The EU should listen. But it's complicated. It's complicated. It's not, life is complicated. It's not easy. That's why you don't elect Republicans, because they can't govern. They can't do complicated. Right now, this is what we've got going on. This is what we've got going on. It's not just Ukraine whose back is up against the wall. It's Russia whose back is also against the wall. If we had a real administration, we could play real hardball with Russia right now. We could. See, this is the first winter where this war is really hitting home in Russia. They've had double-digit inflation. Their people, for the first time, are feeling the results of this war. And this would be a great negotiating leverage. But we're not doing that. We're not doing that. And the corporate media, what do you think the corporate media is doing? We'll play the question and answer game again. What do you think the corporate media is doing? While I wait for that, Michael, I want to thank you for the coffee. I want to thank you for I got it. I'm looking forward to it. Thank you, brother. Thank you for the coffee. I really appreciate it. We got it. Wanted to let you know we got it. What do you think the corporate media is doing in this situation? You've got Russia's back against the wall. They've had double-digit inflation. Everything is set to where we could slap leverage against Russia because they're facing the same economic crises that Ukraine is right now. A lot of people are saying they're doing nothing. No, they're doing worse than nothing. They're publishing, this is Reuters, this is a wire service, is publishing Putin's talking points. Russia just held a big conference about, called Invest Russia. Come invest in Russia. This is one of their talking points. Putin stuck his fingers in his butt and pulled out that with no reason whatsoever to justify it. Just said, our inflation is going to fall to 6%. We're good. And our corporate media ran with it. just like the 28-point peace plan. They're responsible for that. That got leaked to the media, and the media called it a peace plan and gave Trump credit for it. Yeah, our corporate media is worse than doing nothing. They're actively making the situation worse. They're taking sides in this and not with the good guys. They're backing the oligarchs. They're backing the chaos agents. They're hurting us. They're hurting the world. And we have to hold them accountable for it. We have to say, your credibility is gone. There are some news agencies out there that I'm very careful about how I pick and choose where news stories come from. I spend a lot of time reading, and yes, Bloomberg is actually a pretty good source. By the way, you pay, your donations pay for my subscription to Bloomberg. I hope you know. Yeah. Folks, I'm just telling you. I am telling you. Right now, I want you to be aware. I don't want you to get caught shocked by this. I don't want you to be surprised. Ukraine is going to have to buckle. They're going to have to do something to stop this fighting. And this war is going to morph into an insurgency. Ukraine's going to do business in Europe. They will be better off than Russia is. Russia knows this. So Russia will try to work within the confines of Ukraine to undermine the Ukrainian government, to try to get pro-Russian government in place. A lot of it's going to be based on resentments against us because we allowed this shit to go on. They've got a lot of cracks to dig their fingernails into. But this is what's going to happen in the next 6 months. Volodymyr Zelensky is going to make this deal. He's out of money. He's out of time. Anything he does going forward that is not geared towards stopping the fighting, he knows he's doing more damage to his country. And he's a good man, and he's not going to do that. So just prepare yourself for changes in what's happening in Ukraine and be prepared to accept bad news. The only thing that the Republicans are good at is the simple messaging that leads their people around by the nose. We can do better. Get involved. Amen, brother. 100%. That is 100% true. Republicans are really good at reaching into people and their worst instincts and then massaging that and getting people to vote against their own their own self-interests. They're really good at bigotry and racism is a hell of a drug, man. SS secretary. Yeah. They're really good at this. They are. We have to be better. We have to remember we're not talking to each other. We're talking to everybody. And that includes a big swath of people we need voting for us that are the stupids. And I know you're saying you can't talk about people and call them the stupids and expect them to vote for you. They ain't here. They're not here. They're not having this conversation with us. They're not capable of this. They're not. They need very short sound bites. And that's what we need to focus on. Like, Republicans are going to take away women's right to vote, period, full stop. Republicans are going to take away women's right to vote, full stop. Have that conversation. Have that conversation. Andrew Borth, don't count Ukraine out yet. They have a lot of more homegrown military tech. It's not a yes or no if USA supports, they win or not. Media has always favored the wealthy, in my opinion. I am not denigrating Ukraine at all. At all. I'm just telling you, I've got a calculator and I can do math. We have reached the point in Ukraine where the debt's unsustainable. They win the war and have no future. What's the point? it's becoming more pragmatic to have at least a temporary peace where Ukraine can get its economy flowing and have this fight all over again in the future. Take its land back in the future. You know, I mean, really, they're at this point. I'm not counting Ukraine out. They're fucking amazing. They have put up a fight that has been incredible. They are amazing people, and they've got an amazing future. But it's not going to be one where Russia doesn't own a portion of their land. That's going to happen. That's going to happen. And it's going to happen because of the leaders in Europe and the leaders here in the United States. Elections matter. Trump is going to be around for a few more years. Even in the midterms, we do extremely well. We might be able to help Ukraine out to a degree, but we're facing our own debt crisis. That's going to be a very hard sell when we're looking at, hey, 5 years after we elect the next Democrat, we're facing our own debt crisis, and they're going to have to make huge decisions about cutting services and availability in our own military to say, hey, you know what? Let's send billions of dollars to Ukraine. That's just political reality, folks. So I'm telling you, Volodymyr Zelensky is a very smart man. He can do this math. He can do this math. He's actively participating in these talks for a reason. I just don't want you to be caught unaware. Skeet Sayre, you are missing the point. Point rebuilding Ukraine will be Europe's golden egg. Russia will not win. No, in the long run, this has been the end of Russia as we knew it. Well, I'm not mistaking that at all. I'm not calling this a Russian win by any means. They may have taken some territory, but it's going to cost them their entire nation to have done it. Yeah, this is going to be a net loss for everybody's going to lose here. Everybody. Well, look, folks, that's what I have for you here today. If you've got anything, if you want to throw anything out there, got any questions, Dennis Jan, thank you. 4831, thank you all for joining us today. Please help the channel, hit the thumbs up button, subscribe, share button. Thank you, folks. Thank you. I really appreciate you for saying it. We've got to keep growing this network. We've got to keep growing. We have to just keep growing. We do. We have to. It's not about me. The community, you get these folks that support us every day. They support us every show. That can't last forever, folks. We've got to keep growing or this channel dies. I mean, people can only afford to do so much. And I recognize that, folks. You people that are regular contributors, I get it. I get it. I get how difficult it is to sit here and support this show. The MRI story. Okay. We were talking about Trump's MRI. Let me see if I can, we're in the round table now, folks. So let me see if I can find this. Let me see if I can find the video of it. Yeah, here we go. This is what we were talking about. I was using this as a point when we were talking about something else. This is Trump the other day talking about his MRI.
This is a rocky flight. We're going to get out of here before something happens. But they asked about my MRI. MRIs are very...
Governor Walz asked you to release the MRI records.
Will you tell us what it was
Governor
for?
Walz, you mean the incompetent governor? So if they want to release it, it's okay with me to release it. It's perfect.
What was the were they
It's like
looking
my
for?
phone call where I got impeached. It's absolutely perfect. So if you want to hear about it or if you want to release it, you want to have it released.
Yes,
News Nation, failing News Nation.
Oh, sorry.
News Nation is doing lousy, by the way. But if you want to have it released, I'll release
Now
it.
you hear him getting hostile, right? He's getting mad because they're saying, hey, we release it. They're trying to press him on releasing it. You can hear him getting hostile now because he doesn't want to do that.
Can you tell us what they were looking at?
For what
MRI. What part of the body? It wasn't the brain because I took a cognitive test and I aced it. I got a perfect mark.
All right, I got to back that up for you. Listen to this again.
Can you tell us what they were looking at?
For what, releasing?
No. What part of your body was the MRI looking
I
at?
have no idea. It was just an MRI. What part of the body?
All right, we were talking about that. How many of you folks have had an MRI? I mean, really, how many of you folks have had an MRI? Really, how many of you have had an MRI? So you get this when I tell you, there is no fucking way he doesn't know what part of the body he had an MRI on. There is no way. You know exactly how far they shove you in that machine and why. If you're going to get an MRI of your head, you go about this deep in the machine. If you're going to get an MRI of your abdomen, they shove you in about yay deep. There is no freaking way he doesn't know what was scanned, and he don't want to say. Because like I was saying with Brando, if it had been good news, if it had been manageable, look, I'm a fat man. I manage high blood pressure. I manage type 2 diabetes, like so many people my age do. It's not that big a deal. If he was something that they were managing or could treat or was good, the results were good, he would be standing on top of the White House with those results, waving them around. Instead, you've got, hey, Mr. President, can you tell us what you had scanned? What part of your body was scanned? And he gets super hostile. And right after that, he just runs off. He just ran off, insulted her and ran off because he knows this is not good news. Kate Mary Light, thank you for supporting the show. I really appreciate it. So this led to my MRI story where I was explaining to people, and when I was younger, I used to be bigger. I used to have bigger arms, bigger shoulders. I'm still pretty good sized guy now, but I used to be in much better shape. And Mrs. Texas Paul will tell you this has been decades ago. I mean, when I used to bust ass for a living, I went to go have an MRI, and it was an older machine then. Okay. The holes used to be really small that you used to go in. And here I am, I'm a big guy, right? And I'm on this table and I'm in extreme pain, man. I'm having an MRI for a reason, right? So I'm having an extreme. They take my arms and they put them across my chest like this. And they start putting me into position. And I hit the end of that MRI machine and I was like a cork, man. My arms hit the outside of that MRI machine and boom, I stopped. And I'm like, whoa, wait a minute, whoa, I'm not going to fit. And I hear them, come over the mic. No, you're going to be fine. You're going to be fine. You're going to be okay. Don't worry about it. And I'm like, okay, all right, man. Because, I'm easy. I'm pretty easy. And I'm in pain. I want this MRI. Well, that MRI, that round cylinder isn't round. The part that's closest to you has a lip on it, about an inch big. It's got a lip on it. So they squeezed me through that tunnel, man, and I'm hot now, man. It is hot in that room. I am sweating, and I'm like, I popped through that room. And I was stuck, man. I was stuck. And I'm telling the guy, look, I'm stuck. I'm stuck. I can't move. I'm pinned. I mean, I'm literally, my arms are pinned to my body. And they said, okay, we'll get you out. And they started to pull me out. And when they pushed me in, my arms went boom. And I can't pull my arms close enough together to get back past that ring. I'm wedged inside this machine and they're freaking out because they've got a sensor monitor on me and my core temperature is going through the roof. You can see my face is starting to red now just talking about it. my core temperature is going through the roof, and I'm telling the lady, and I'm cracking her up. I'm trying to be light about this, I'm trying, hey, go get a stick of butter. Grease this thing up. You're going to need to slick me up to get me out of here. Oh my God. They ended up having to take and pull me out the other direction. They literally had to pull me through the other direction. Yeah, that was my MRI story. Ever since then, I do open-sided MRIs. Oh my God. But they're much bigger now, by the way. The new machines are freaking fantastic. They really are. If you ever have to have a scan done or anything like that, don't freak out about it. They're either open-sided or they're much larger. It's okay. But I tell you, they wedged me in. One of them some bitches could not get me out, man. And started to freak out too. And I'm inside there just cracking jokes as fast as I can, man. Get the butter, man. Get the Crisco. Somebody lather me up. Oh my God. And of course, and at the time, I haven't always been this jovial, laid back person, right? This is very early on in our marriage. And Mrs. Texas Paul has been a wonderful influence on me. She really has. I'm the kind of guy I would slap somebody. I would. If a man got out of line and that's actually happened in a restaurant before. She knows I've got at the time I had a temper, man. I would lose my damn temper. And she was actually stressing. The people that are with her trying to handle everything are picking up on the fact that she's stressing, but I'm in that machine just laughing my damn ass off. I'm really okay. I do got a little bit of a temper still, but nothing like when I was young. I would throw hands, Martha. I would. When I was younger, I had a fuse about that long. I am a much more laid back guy now. I really am. Ask Mrs. Texas Paul. She'll tell you she's done a lot of training on me. Still have some work to do, I know, but that's my MRI story. Anyways, send me an email on that story you were talking to me about earlier. I'm really glad we got to spend some time together. I know I've gone a bit long again. I do apologize. Andrew Borth, agree to disagree. Ukraine, Britain had debt to GDP ratio of 240% post World War II. Ukraine projecting is 106%. UK could wealth tax. War debt is worthless to the holder if Ukraine loses. Solutions are possible. I'm not talking about Ukraine losing. I'm not. I'm talking about them ceding territory for peace. I'm not talking about them losing. There still will be a Ukraine. They will, and I still tell you the same exact thing. Ukraine is an amazing place. They were the jewel. This is why Russia wants them so badly. They were the jewel of the Soviet Union. They 100% were. I'm glad you said that. I'm really glad you said that. Don't misconstrue what I'm saying. I'm not saying Ukraine is going to lose. I am telling you there will be peace sooner than you think, and it's not going to be as pretty as you want it to be. I just want you to be prepared for that. And when it's over, like I said, Ukraine is going to have a good relationship with Europe. Their economy is going to take off post-war. They're going to come out of this in much better shape than the Russians are. But the Russians are going to play their political bullshit inside Ukraine. They're not going to give up. Dave Barone, like Winnie the Pooh stuck in the honey jar. I'm never going to live this down. I am never going to live this down. Anyways, folks, that's what I had for you today. Unless you've got something else that you want to, and all the stuff about Henry Cuellar. Henry Cuellar has not been a Democrat forever. He hasn't. That's why Trump is cutting him a pardon. Do you think Trump would cut him a pardon if he was a Democrat? If he was a real Democrat? He was once a Democrat, yeah. But he was corrupt as shit and went to jail like he should have. That's like saying Andrew Cuomo is a Democrat. No, he's not. No, he's not. You know, you asked my opinion about Henry Cuellar. It's about the same opinion as I have of Andrew Cuomo. I'm glad they're not in my party anymore. Anyways, love you folks. Enjoy some Texas cities at night.